it'll be me. It will say the Pat Edwards next to it. So there's a flaw in that.
Is it a
I'm
flaw
not
or does
playing.
it make it better?
No, it's like was it Kevin Durant who was busted with like an alt Twitter account, like defending himself with like an alt account or something like that.
Yes, and
Like
everybody's
when
like,
someone would
"Bro,
talk
that's you."
shit. Yeah,
He's like, "No."
lame.
I mean, I have to do 2 Twitter accounts for myself and for Geek Elite, and like that's already stressful enough. I couldn't imagine like creating a fake person to back myself up.
I tell you though, like seriously, or like stories all the time about what's it called, like people like having double families, you know, like 2 spouses and 2. It's
How do
like
you do that?
that sounds like so much fucking work. Oh my god, that sounds
Hey,
awful.
JJ. Hey,
That
Pep.
sounds
What's going on?
terrible. Like that sounds so bad.
Who has that kind of time? Like,
I can't.
honestly,
Yeah,
Like,
that doesn't even
actually.
sound fun.
Oh man. All right. So, whenever you're ready, Mitch, chat. I hope you're ready for this. It's gonna be a good time. Have your questions ready if you have any.
Thor
And
Ragnarok, we're talking about it.
Thor
Yeah.
Ragnarok.
We're ready to take that journey into mystery.
Yeah.
And with me, as always, every week is Ian, but we have a special guest this week, the Pat Edwards. He's an author. He's a podcaster. I listen to Let's Rewatch all the time, and content creator, and now one of the creators of a D&D set theme. How do you exactly do you? I want to say box set, but I don't think that's right.
Hi, all my buddies. No, it's a I guess you would call it a campaign.
Like expansion.
campaign.
Would you say that?
I mean, it can expand. Yeah, it's an entire new setting, world, lore, campaign. If you have an existing established world, you can probably plug it onto your continent somewhere. And it's like just like super glue it on there, the region.
So the story behind the Red Opera and how you got involved is pretty awesome. Could you elaborate on that?
Yeah, sure. Thanks. So myself and another writer named Rick Hines, who writes like GM tips for Geek and Sundry and Nerdist.
Oh yeah.
And Rick and I met and we hit off. Our first novels each were published by the same publisher, and we both are from Chicago originally. And he came to my first. We talked online a lot, and he came to my first book signing. We hit it off really well and just became friends and stayed in touch. And then he is friends also with this band Dia Morte, who's based out of Chicago. They're like a gothic metal band. They're signed to Dark Star Records, which is like the label that has like Black Sabbath and a lot of metal bands and rock bands. And they had this stage show, and they've been talking forever. It's actually like an opera. There's actually a narrative, a story that they act out on stage. And in normal times they have a stage show that they perform. It's like, but they had always talked about adapting it, and finally Rick was like, I'll just do it. Let's just make it happen. And then he reached out to me because he knew I had never created anything professionally in tabletop gaming or D&D, but I'm a professional writer. It's what I do, and also I do love D&D. I'm on a weekly stream on the Geekly Inc. channel. We're playing through Descent into Avernus. We're gonna do Icewind Dale next as soon as we finish up, which we're zeroing in. Have you already like started it, or?
I say it's a lot of fun in the means of like I've read through the book and like I do the thing. Like I play in a lot of games, and I can never find the people to play that like want to play the modules with me, because it's a lot of homebrew kind of stuff. So like I'll pick up modules and I'll thumb through it and be like, oh man, this would be so much fun. Like this sounds so good. And Icewind Dale is definitely on my list as one of those things. Yeah.
So I can tell that Tim Lanning, our DM, has been like all of a sudden like speed running us. He's like, I want to finish this and go on to the next new shiny thing. But so kind of like finishing that story. So Rick brought me in because it's a lot of work, right? To create you're not just writing a story. You're not just writing a narrative. You actually have to have gameplay elements. and encounters and puzzles, and it's got to be, you know, a fun experience for players and GMs alike. So he and I worked together to write it. We had a few other writers. We'd sometimes great guy named Joe Asafani, who helped on some of the ancillary work in it, and then we have some guest writers doing stretch goal and side quests. But basically, what we did is we took the story, very, very, very like liberal adaptation because it's not perfect, but we took the underlying story and concept of the album and the stage show, the Red Opera. And what's funny is there's 10 songs, 10 tracks on the album. So we use that as a framework, and that's the title of all of our chapters in the campaign. There's 10 narrative chapters of the main campaign, and each one is the same title as one of the tracks on the album. And so we built this fleshed out world, city, narrative campaign. And it was it started as a really tight campaign. It kind of blossomed into a bigger thing. And now there's a lot more going on because as of us recording this, we've unlocked today, the day of it we're recording this, we've unlocked our 4th big stretch goal. And now we've got 3 side quests and 3 new original subclasses for warlocks. Because it's a very warlock heavy themed. Warlocks are definitely the through line. Where this is a warlock centric campaign. We have this Rick and I plan to do more campaigns, and we're kind of creating our own little organization, Storytellers Forge, to create this. And we have this idea where we want to take a class each time and make that kind of the centerpiece and the kind of the through line, and really dive deep on what makes that class unique. And we started with warlocks because it just kind of really fit with the gothic lore of the Shadelands. And for those who don't know, in D&D, the way a warlock gets their power is they have a pact with a patron who is some powerful otherworldly being. Could be benevolent, could be evil, could be neutral, could be anything you want it to be. And we're really exploring that nature of the pacts and what sacrifices is it worth making for the power you gain.
That's so cool. And I'm really excited to see the Warlock subclasses because Warlock is one of my favorite classes to run. Just because I don't play anything that's not charisma based. So,
so just to ask a few questions, like,
how
is it to write something in this way as opposed to writing a novel or writing a screenplay?
Oh man, it was. And I've done both because I actually also in quarantine, I wrote a short film that was shot completely in quarantine over a video call, and that's in post-production right now. Directed by Ash. Actually, Ash directed it.
That's right.
Ash Blood, and we'll be sending it to film festival soon. It's actually about a group of 8 friends trying to get a D&D session going while in quarantine, and life keeps getting in the way. We got that's a real quick plug because that's gonna be cool. Is Ifian Wadiwe is in it, and he's someone who's really known in certain nerd circles. And then someone I think some of your listeners and viewers might know is Matt Young, who plays Usador in Hello from the Magic Tavern, is in it as well.
That's awesome.
So it was a very unique challenge. Going back to Mitch, your original question, very, very different from just writing a novel or a screenplay. I think I had a difficult but a slightly more fun job than Rick, because Rick has been kind of the spear. We're partners, but he was really like the spearhead of the project, and he was really the narrative driving force of it. My main task, and I got to design, the toys. So I created the main setting, like the city where it takes place, and most of the encounters that the players will endure, puzzles, enemy fights, monster fights. It's all original, pretty much all original, other than like your mainstays, right? Your elves, your dwarves, your mainstay, species and races. We actually, when it came time for like monsters and things to fight, we tried to do everything as original content. Wow. So I got to create all these different encounters and set pieces, and they're like, oh, isn't this going to be cool when they have to do this and this? And one thing I like to talk about that I'm really proud of when it comes to the encounters and the combat in particular is there's no real static combat, I'll say, because I think like in 5th edition especially, you can fall into this trap. Combat can be a little bit of a chore sometimes when it's just you're just in a room and there's 4 orcs with axes in your party, and you each are going to take turns hitting each other until one of you is dead, and then you can move on. The word that was kind of our theme word for creating these encounters was dynamic. Everything's got to be dynamic, whereas almost every single time if you're in combat, there's also something else like narratively or mechanically happening that you have to be worried about or concerned about that you have to address and deal with. So it's this isn't in the book, but it's like yeah, these things are fighting us and we got to fight them, but also don't let the baby fall in the river. You know what I mean? There's something else going on that requires your attention. So it's not purely you hit me, I hit you. Hopefully I do more damage till you die. It's we have to get this other thing accomplished while fighting off these enemies.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
It sounds awesome. Like I'm really excited to be able to check that out.
Thank you. Yeah, it's pretty crazy, and to see how see it all kind of coming to fruition, because it's something I've been working on for a year now, but almost exactly a year now. So that's been like you had Ian. You had mentioned like the new. I mean, I'll give you like kind of a teaser for each of those.
Please.
Classes.
I'll take anything you can give me for warlocks.
I made like 1.5 of them, so there's 3 of them, and then one is 100% an original creation of one of our guest readers, Michael, and he did this really cool. It was 2 stretch goals we unlocked. This side quest called the Performance in Tatters, where there's this old god, this old one patron who comes to town, who's like this really eccentric but creepy guy who puts on like plays and performances in towns, and the performances drive like the townsfolk mad and stuff. And then it will come into play at some point where basically the players are going to be forced like to role play and put on a play for him, or be driven insane, or he like kidnap their souls to his plane of existence.
Ooh.
And stuff. And then there's a subclass tied to that. It's called like the Artist Warlock, where it's very performance based. My favorite thing about it is Michael, who wrote it, he put you get like, instead of a familiar, you get like a little animated marionette, like a little Pinocchio thing that's like animated, that's like kind of acts like you're familiar. I was like, yes, that is really cool, and I want a creepy little marionette doll to be my little buddy.
Chat, please give us some hype for this. This is amazing.
All I can think about is a little jigsaw doll. Like,
and then one of my babies was a class called the Evermore, and it's a warlock that is all time-based powers. Is their unique spell set that only they can access.
Ooh.
And they operate out of this creepy Tim Burton-esque clock tower in the city we created. And
these are awesome.
Yeah, and then the other one that we just unlocked today was one that I kind of like started down the process, and then I couldn't flesh it out, so we brought in this guest writer, Jaron Johnson. Who have either of you heard of Monsters of Merca?
I've heard of it in passing.
It was like it's like a 5e parody satire campaign where it reskins, and essentially you're going against an evil overlord who is if you just Google Monsters of Merca, it's a very blatant send up satire of our current administration as evil overlord. And Merca as in Merc, like and but Jaron's great, and he helped flesh out, because in conjunction with this side quest, he helped flesh out that he wrote this other class that I really wanted to do, but didn't know if I was going to have time to do everything on. And it's great to get fresh perspectives on things. So there's so much gas in the tank, and it's really great to get fresh eyes on something. So that one is called the Soul Thief, and that those warlocks are a little more. We kind of thought it was like a foil, because the Evermore is kind of like a buttoned up, very regimented. They're time focused. They're very clean cut. The Soul Thief is a little more grisly, a little more gnarly, because essentially what you're doing is you're stealing pieces of people's souls and creatures' souls, and in order to be able to essentially like shapeshift and take on their abilities and appearances. I did a stream recently and I talked about it, and someone in the audience said it's like, so it's kind of like a necromancer or druid. And I was like, yes, that's a great way of describing it. So it's a little more grisly, a little more gnarly, because we're toying with these different mechanics where maybe you actually have to have a physical piece of the body of the thing whose soul you're trying to drain and stuff. So how are you going to get that, right? Like, how are you going to RP that? And
fingers. I'm taking fingers.
Yeah, taking fingers.
I meet somebody. How many fingers you got? You don't need all of them. So in chat here, the Peppermint Gentleman, so chat, Pep, we know Pep, we love Pep. He made all the graphics. It looks amazing. He said, I want to point out how specific the "don't let the baby fall in the river" poll came up for you. Real planned one?
It's a combination of multiple things. I have very, very small children, so babies are always kind of on my mind at all times.
Makes sense.
And there is a river that cuts through the middle of our city that plays a big role that you do not want to fall into. And you're going to be in a precarious position at one point where you might fall into it. You don't want to, but you might, and you probably will.
That, chat. Don't touch the water. It's no good. No me gusta. Es no bueno.
No.
So if you saw on our Twitter earlier, we put the link to the Kickstarter for the game, the module, and we will also put it in our show notes for this.
I can throw it in the chat if you want me to.
Please.
I got it right
Absolutely.
here. The special Geek Elite one I got here. Yeah, I'll do it right now. Oh, it's making me agree to your chat rules.
So pretty much just don't be a tool in chat. That's what that is saying.
So yeah, the next stretch goal we're trying to unlock actually is because it's so I'll give you guys kind of a rundown. It's been a wild ride so far. So we went live on September 1st, and we set the bar kind of low just because we wanted to kind of like, what is the true minimum to actually get this thing printed, right? The true minimum, like to get this thing existing in the world. And something people can still buy after the fact. So is $10,000. We hit that in 40 minutes, 40.
Wow.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Today is the 9th. So we're 9 days in. We're at $65,000. So that was unlocked our fourth stretch goal. It's been pretty freaking crazy with still 21 days to go. It's wild. Very excited. The next one we've got on deck is this basically we've already been approached to kind of create a pilot new streaming show with Alkian. I don't know if you know Alkian Gersh, different elves, LA by Night, Geek and Sundry. They're connected to the Critical Role folks, so that would be pretty fun.
That'd be awesome
to be able to do. Yeah, it's been pretty surreal. So anything I mean, I can talk for literally hours about like the lore. I can go into like if you want to talk more about stuff that makes the book itself unique, the lore of it, the setting, whatever you guys want to talk about.
So I have a million questions and I could keep you here for like the next 3 days.
Let's do it.
Questions, but we also have Thor Ragnarok to talk about.
Oh, we do. That's right. Yes. We're not only about Red Opera. Yeah. Okay.
No, but chat, before we move on, I'm going to say right now, if you're in a spot that you can support anything right now, if you were going to sub to me, don't do that. Click that link, toss that $5 at the project, help them get where they need to go. Because this is awesome. You can see the passion that he's talking with right there. It's fantastic. Go help fund it, and then play the hell out of the module when it drops. Because yeah.
Thank you. I mean, just go look at the page. Go look at the page because I got to give it up. Apotheosis Studios, who Rick and I partnered with to do the art and the printing and the layout and everything, like publish. They really went bananas with the art and the Kickstarter layout, and all the images are animated, and it's just unreal. I can't even. I look at it every single day. I'm like, God, how is this like the most gorgeous Kickstarter page ever? It's just really, really impressed with the quality of work that they churned out. But yeah, big hats off to Apotheosis.
Awesome. Okay, so if you can go back to it, 9 years into the MCU universe, or I guess that's Marvel Cinematic Universe. The MCU. This is the, I think, 18th movie in the franchise. Like, how did you feel going into the theater, going to check out Thor Ragnarok? Let's go to you first, Pat.
Actually, I'm very optimistic because of the trailer and because of Taika Waititi.
Ooh, so you were a Taika fan before checking this out?
Mm-hmm. It's seen What We Do in the Shadows, the movie, before the show, and what was the other first thing he did that was really,
it's like
really
a lot of
good?
Flight of the Conchords. If
I am a big fan of the sort of New Zealand brand of comedy.
Yes,
I really enjoy that a lot. And it just looked different than the first two. And it was like, okay, they're trying something here. It's like, okay, this is what this should be. This is what, yeah.
What about you, Ian?
I remember being cautiously optimistic because anytime a Marvel movie comes out, you want it to be good. But, I had been burned by the last 2 Thor movies, like standalone Thor movies. So it's like, I'm going to go see it, but I'm not happy about it.
See? Well, and I want to preface my thing. When I'm on board, I'm like a very loyal. When I'm on board with something, a franchise, I cut a lot of slack, and I'm pretty easy to please in that aspect. And it was not super recently, but it's within the last year. I did rewatch both the first 2 Thors, and like, they're still not terrible. There's no bad in my opinion.
Yeah.
There is no bad MCU movie. There are aggressively okay ones.
Aggressively okay. Extremely mediocre.
Yeah. Extra medium.
That's the nicest way to say that. I love it.
But it's not like, I mean, there are bad DC movies.
Oh, all of them.
And I would and that, again, it's all opinion, it's all subjective. In my opinion, there's no bad or MCU movie. There are ones that are like fine, but they're not bad. They're still as I say on Let's Rewatch, there's still a net positive experience in watching them.
That's right. Everybody go buy your net positive t-shirts.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we do. Case is a madman. The head, like one of the heads of our podcast network, is on a tear of merch creation lately. Of everything anyone says is on a t-shirt on our Teespring page. It's ridiculous.
That's the way to do it, though. That's the way to do it. See,
I have to say I have to disagree because Iron Man 2, and I've talked about how much I do not.
When we did Iron Man 2, that was.
Did you listen to our episode about?
I did. Yeah. It's just I can't get over how much I do not like that movie in comparison to the rest of the MCU. I would say that, like, I was so stoked for the first Thor movie, and I did enjoy it. And we talked about, like the parts where I felt a little let down. Thor 2 goes in such a different direction from the first Thor movie, and then this one, like, you could see from the trailer how different it was going to be once again, and you just love the fact that they figured out that Chris Hemsworth is a funny guy. He can do comedy. Like, let him be funny, and teaming him up with Taika was just a stroke of gold, stroke of genius.
Like,
yeah.
Since on this podcast we've already talked about 1 and 2, I'll run you through my feelings. 1, I was more or less new to Thor. Like, I knew who he was. I didn't have a bunch invested in him. 1 was okay. One was a good time. 2 was just a spit in the face, I feel like.
2 had the problem of, like, it didn't really add much to the overall MCU. It just kind of is its own thing, and I think it didn't move anything forward really.
2 just felt like a waste of time.
Especially since, once again, Loki dies but doesn't die. Like, it's the things that happen in 2 just seem like, oh, Well, now we're introduced to the ether, and it really feels like retroactively we're going to make the ether a Infinity Stone so that it seems like that was relevant.
Yeah, they could. I'm sure that was retroactive. I'm sure that was not planned ahead of time. I'm sure that was like a lot of it. Like the whole Hela, the Infinity Gauntlet being fake. That obviously wasn't planned ahead of time. Like I think I saw an interview where they seeded just a crazy amount of potential Easter eggs in the because they weren't sure yet. So like just do as many opportunities for little potential Easter eggs as possible so it can look like it's and they're open about it, but they're like, we just wanted to give ourselves, plant lots of seeds, they say, to see what grows and what's there. But yeah, I think I put a lot of it on the villains because they're just they're literally faceless, right? They're just wearing these like mask, and they're just like nothing. They're just like magical space monsters. It's like cool. We had those in the first one with like the frost giants, and it's like, I don't know, they're not iconic enough, or you needed something more tied. They were just so generic.
Yeah, there was nothing threatening about them, and I put them in the same class as like putties from Power Rangers.
That's very fair description. There's kind of some similarity.
Where they're just like they're one like kind of thing away from being putties.
Yeah, no. So going into 3, just the total shift of tone and color and characters, like you could just see it. Like it was so refreshing, and you could tell that afterwards Hemsworth was just revitalized with the character. Like he knew that he's going to be going into Infinity War and Endgame as this character, but like this changed him around as like, oh, I can do something else here instead of just dumb.
He's not the only one. Did you know that Sir Anthony Hopkins was not gonna do the third Thor movie, and then he was like, I'm done with these. He read the script and changed his mind.
I mean, that makes complete sense.
Yeah.
I think he saw a way out in like a nice way, and he was like, I'll give it one more. I'll give it one more, and then I can be done.
I mean, it seems unfair that you don't ever see him in like Infinity War or Endgame. Like I feel like a cameo from him would have been good, but
I mean, he is dead though.
Him
dead.
Yeah, but he's also dead in this movie, and at the very end he shows up to be like, are you the god of hammers? kind of thing.
And yeah, he hadn't gone all the way to Valhalla at that point.
I wanted that to be a Korg line. He's got a hammers.
Also, another great performance by Taika himself to come in and voice the character of Korg.
Korg is my favorite MCU character.
Oh. I'd put him in my top 3. It's Korg and Meek, those two together.
Meek, yeah.
Hey, so what you're saying is that you need a like road trip movie between Rocket, Groot, Korg, and Meek to just happen.
I would love it. Are you kidding me?
I would do, yeah, I could do that. Korg, he's so good. I just love the like he's just this big rock burly dude, but he's just so affable and bouncy, and I that speaks to my soul very much. That just like I just love that vibe, and I guess I think where Taika's like, yeah, I based him after like these like Polynesian bouncers in New Zealand who are like these massive dudes, but all like real chill, and just like, yeah, okay, and they'll still fuck your shit up if you like get out of line, but they're like just really like calm and relaxed and like kind of very like whatever about it, and I dig that a lot.
I love it.
Yeah, I love it. So one of the things that I caught in this recent viewing of the movie is when Loki is describing the Grandmaster's champion for the first, like without knowing that it's the Hulk, he's like, I've only heard such astonishing tales of it, and I was like, all right, wait, they used astonishing there. Let me check this out. Like Incredible Hulk #1 is the Hulk's first like show like appearance, but he only did 9 issues of that, and the book got canceled. And then he shows up in Tales to Astonish. Like that's where he becomes big.
There we go.
That's pretty impressive. Did you realize that Valkyrie doesn't have a name?
She's Valkyrie.
Well, I mean, like she's part of the Valkyries, and they're like,
Yeah.
She's
Surtur is like,
Scrapper, whatever.
yeah, she's like
That
one.
is, I did always think that was weird, and it's in the comics where it's like they just call her, the character is just called Valkyrie in the comics too, but it's also a title, like a rank or something.
Yeah,
So that's
that's like calling a ranger. Like,
Mhm.
is a just I always thought that was that they gave her a name in the movie, but I guess they don't.
Scrapper 142.
Yeah,
I
there we
mean,
go.
That's her name.
It's so fair enough. Like it's just like
I
Captain
mean, it like kind of works because since she's the only one. I mean,
Yeah.
it maybe.
So, I'll just go out and say it. One of the biggest benefits and flaws of this movie to me is that they finally gave Thor a personality.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Now
Like,
why?
Why
Yeah.
a flaw? Because he spent all this time on Earth, and now his personality is like snarky space Tony Stark almost.
Well, I feel like, to be fair, that kind of makes sense because he spent all this time on Earth and and they've influenced him. And I think that would be fair if someone who lived their whole life like in kind of a bubble, and then you're exposed finally to a new like culture, place, or nation, or in this case, planet. You might. It's like we all had friends or knew people that like did a semester abroad and then came back with like a fucking Italian accent or something like that. It's like, okay, it's like, okay, Dan, like, yeah,
No,
this isn't how we had our pasta in Milan. Like, fuck off, Dan. Okay, like, just, you were there like 4 months. Relax.
calm down.
I'm all the way here for the fact that he has a personality now. I'm all the way here for the fact that he's funny now because he's like learned how to loosen up and he's not just the god of hammers, but he's now a person who's the god of hammers. But it's just like I don't know. It feels.
I think it kind of makes sense too, in the sense of not only that it's Earth, but it's also maybe he feels like he has a weight lifted off his shoulders because he's not like taking the crown or expected to rule. In his mind, he's like, I just get to go off and be a hero because that's all I want to do is be a hero and like go on adventures. And that's what he's been doing since he like disappeared in Age of Ultron, is apparently going on adventures and being a hero, which is just like his comfort zone. So I could see that, where he's like, I'm looser too. It's like a combination of meeting with these people. It's kind of rubbed off on me a little bit. Also, I'm in this like really good place because I'm feeling like I'm doing what I'm supposed to. I'm in the job I'm meant to do type deal, and so I don't feel this pressure. Maybe
That could be a
like
thing.
I think it's great because the last time we did see him, as you said, was in Age of Ultron, and that's where he gets the vision of Ragnarok. And that's, I mean, yeah, it doesn't seem like it was that long ago in time, but in movies wise, like in the MCU, that was quite a few movies. Age of Ultron was quite a few movies back. And this,
I do. Speaking of, I do love that Age of Ultron is the one with Thanos like, fine, I'll do it myself, and then it's like 6 movies later, actually finally.
Yeah, so this movie is a direct result of him seeing that vision of Ragnarok and going out to figure out how he can stop it. And he goes, like, the movie starts off with him with, how do you say, it's Surtur? Right? Surtur. Like, he's what is going to be the cause of Ragnarok. And Thor's like, oh well, I can just defeat him and thus save all of Asgard. But when we get to the end of the movie, it's like, oh no, I need to cause Ragnarok so that we can save all the people. And like, I loved that turn. Like the idea that we don't need to save Asgard. Asgard is us.
Yeah. Do you know who that voice was of Surtur?
Oh, Clancy Brown. I love it. like when I first heard that, to me, Clancy Brown will always be Lex Luthor. Like, I know other people think of him as the character from SpongeBob or the Kurg from Highlander, but to me, he'll always be Lex Luthor from the animated series.
Those DC animated series, people are like ride hard for the voice actors.
Oh yeah.
The classic, like the Kevin Conroy's and like the Mark Hamill Joker, and people are very very passionate about that, about The DC animated voiceover actor stands are out in force. They're
especially with the big anniversary of Batman the Animated Series just happening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're all
I
validated
mean,
right now.
with good reason. They're great.
Oh,
Like they're good. It's really weird to me. I feel like DC animated content is so much better, and then obviously like the Marvel like major film motion pictures are way better. It's just really interesting how they've each excelled in different areas.
True.
if DC would just understand that maybe we don't have to do live action stuff. Maybe we just put all that money
Mm-hmm.
into more animated stuff, then I'm
Yeah.
down.
Or for fuck's sake, have a director who
That would
actually
be
likes
nice.
comics. Like,
yeah, that
Yeah.
would be a good idea. That would be a good idea.
That's like Kevin Feige that gets all the little intricacies or whatever
Mhm.
of the world in the comics. Like, or
God forbid you have the person helming your multi-million-dollar project likes the property. They're
Right.
like likes and
that's-
respects the property.
Because that's so hard to come by, right?
I mean, apparently DC Sony it is. Because like, I mean, Zach famously like hates comics and like bans them on set and stuff like that and shit. It's crazy.
well, he's got a vision, and that's about it.
You guys excited for the Snyder cut?
I don't care.
No, I'm not.
I don't care.
I was on a podcast, delightful human beings. I love them to death. And about one of them mentioned they were like excited for it. I was like, really? I was like, is this supposed to be like 4 hours long? I was like, yeah. I'm like, so you saw Justice League and your response was, what would make this better? More of it.
Darker tone and more of it. That's exactly what you're gonna get.
I'll watch it. Okay, I'm a hypocrite because I'm gonna
I'm
watch it.
gonna watch it too.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna stand my ground. I will live vicariously through Mitch.
No, I will watch. There's movies like I watch every comic book movie eventually. There are ones I'm like, I'll just wait till it's on like HBO or something, like HBO Max or whatever. And I end up watching all of them at some point.
Oh yeah.
Again, I don't see a ton in theaters because even before COVID, because again, small children, and then when I do movies, it's like a day night with my wife, and then she's not always chomping at the bit to go see. Yeah.
However, I assume you took her to this one, Thor Ragnarok, and she loved it.
No, I forgot who I saw this with. I didn't see it by myself. I've only seen 2 movies by myself, and that was Infinity War and Endgame. And which is the only way to see them, in my opinion, because I get to just sit there and be by myself and enjoy the moment. And yeah, very much enjoyed that. Went on like both of them for like Friday afternoon matinees or something. Just
so, Pep in chat just said one story that messed me up about this film was that the pitch for the video the pitch video for it included the Immigrant Song, and the higher ups involved said they'd never heard it. But the song, being a defining bit of the vision, is core to.
That's
my
crazy.
as well.
So you're saying the studio execs had not heard of the song, had not heard of Immigrant Song, the Led Zeppelin song.
That makes me go, then where have you been?
I mean,
well, I guess if they're Hollywood execs, because Led Zeppelin is famously very stingy with letting their music be in movies, unless you're Cameron Crowe. Like it's only been like there's only like 4 movies ever that have been able to use a Led Zeppelin song. So I don't know. Maybe because it wasn't in their songs aren't in movies, Hollywood executives don't know who Led Zeppelin is.
I mean, Immigrant Song was in Jack Black. Yeah, Jack Black had to do a video to let them to get them in School of Rock. And didn't they also
it's literally
movies?
It was like the 2 Cameron Crowe movies. It's literally like Almost Famous, another Cameron Crowe movie, School of Rock, and then this are like the only 4 movies that they've let their music be in.
That's
and it's probably why they used it twice in this movie. Like they probably had to pay quite a bit for it, and they like used it at the beginning and used it at the end, like which makes sense to me. So,
well, I mean, it's a good bookend, right? Because it's the very beginning and then the end, and it's
yeah. So let's get into characters. We get 2 of new characters in this movie. Starting off with the Grandmaster. Like I think in the
no, Ian, you don't like.
We'll get to it.
Okay,
oh, man.
I think in the backside of the backstories of the characters, the Grandmaster and the Collector are supposed to be brothers. and that
really?
Yeah.
I had a thing where they both were the last of their respective species, and in the Marvel universe, whenever you're the last of the species, you become immortal and join like the elders, and that because like to preserve, and they're just both the last of maybe they're the last of the same species.
Maybe that's what I'd always heard, that they were brothers, but they haven't made that a connection in the actual proper MCU yet. So I'm not sure, but I would love to see the scene between Jeff Goldblum and Benicio del Toro. Like, I just want to know how that plays out.
I can tell from Ian, he's not. I find the eccentricity endearing and entertaining personally. Have either of you seen the little short they shot with him? It's in the, if you watch, like I bought it years ago digitally on Amazon in like the bonus content too. It's after the movie. There's like a little short they did with him like as just some random dude's roommate on Earth. Like a little like you've seen that?
Like Thor's roommate. He's the roommate in Australia, and he's just a terrible roommate.
He's just like a dude, Daryl. He's like, it's Daryl. Yeah. It's just like a normal guy, Daryl, and the Grandmaster is his roommate who answered an ad on Craigslist or something.
they did that one, and they did like Where Was Thor during Civil War?
Yeah, and that was before this one.
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of.
Yeah, but yeah, Grandmaster, because Thor leaves and the Grandmaster moves in with Daryl. Like, that's the whole point of it. Like, it's great. So
that sounds like fun. Okay, I'm not trying to be contrarian here. I feel like
no, you, man. I don't want to yuck anyone's yum. Like, you're allowed to have your opinion. Like, it's okay.
I'm at this stage in my life, I'm just kind of over Jeff Goldblum.
Really?
You're too young. You can't be.
No, I'm just kind of over Jeff Goldblum. It happened when he did his interview on Hot Ones.
Oh,
and he was just.
I haven't watched it.
Okay, well he's taken just the little tiniest little like not even a taste of a bite off of these wings, because he's like, I have a jazz album I have to record and my voice needs to be good. It's like, you knew your schedule. Why did you do this to yourself?
That's fair. I don't know if I've watched the Hot Ones since Paul Rudd, because I feel like none of them are going to be as good as that. So it's like, why?
His is earlier than that. Like it's.
Oh, it was? Okay.
Yeah, it's one of the earlier ones.
Okay.
But for some reason, that interview just stained him for me. Where it's just like, you knew your schedule, and you're going to come in here and be like, I'm not going to play by the rules. And he's just walking around like, whoa, hey, I'm professionally myself forever, and I don't have to act anymore.
That was weird. We lost Patrick.
He's upset about my Jeff Goldblum take.
Why would you say such things about Jeff Goldblum and make us look bad? Like, obviously, we can't have guests on this show if you're just gonna do stuff like that.
Are you good, Pat?
Oh, I think he's in a very, very long delay. One of the things I loved about the introduction to the Grandmaster is, and I remember catching this when I first saw it, but with the part where Thor is in that chair, and the stuff's going by him real fast, and he thinks it's moving faster and faster. You can hear the faint music from Willy Wonka, like in that scene, the boat scene. Like,
can you really?
Yes.
That's awesome.
It's one of the things I love. So you can hear us now, Pat?
Yeah, my Discord just like crashed and restarted.
That's fun. So, in all, that's my beef with the character. That aside, he does have some good moments, like between him and Topaz, where he's like, I don't like the S word. Like, every time he does that, that's a legitimately fun moment. Or like, why are you handing me the melty stick? Why are you doing that? It's good, but I don't know. I might just be butthurt. I don't know.
Now we saw him in the credits for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Like, I want to know if James Gunn had plans for him to be in there and they didn't use him, but for whatever reason, like, he's dancing around, I believe, in that. And where would you like to see him in the future MCU?
I want to see the brothers meet up at some point.
Okay.
It would just be interesting. Just I think I'll die on this hill. I think that if Bowie hadn't passed away, he would have been perfect for either the Collector or the Grandmaster. And if you could have just had him be both, and
wasn't he going to be the Collector?
I don't know.
I think I remember hearing that.
That could be a thing, but I wanted that so bad just for
Now, like,
for everything that Bowie is, it would have just been perfect. Just eccentric and beautiful and mysterious, and then just goofy and aloof. Perfect.
All I can think of is the Collector being like Jareth now from Labyrinth.
That's perfect. I'm here for it.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm okay with that.
I'm absolutely here for that. And then you have the Grandmaster who's just Jareth but in neon.
I mean, like you just if there's any way to compartmentalize the Hot Ones interview, you didn't find anything fun at all about his portrayal, and like he's just like randomly DJing at this party, and he's silly, and he's like he's just this big like weird eccentric but also psychopathic goof.
Like every time I hear the "It's my birthday,"
yeah.
I want to like it. I do. If I can watch it and just completely detach him from being Jeff Goldblum, I could be down, because there's so much in that character that's just fun. I'm just stuck.
That's fair. What about you, Pat? Where would you like to see the Grandmaster in a future movie? Pat?
Yeah.
Oh, where would you like to see him, the Grandmaster, in a future MCU movie?
I think where I like to see him.
Yeah, like if he were to show up in another movie. I mean, it could be the next Thor movie that we know we're going to be getting. It could be James or the next Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. But you know, if it could be with any particular character, where would you like to see him?
Oh man, the Grandmaster. I'm trying to think. Yeah, give me a second to like run down. I mean, Tony Stark's gone. I'm trying to think of someone that would be an interesting foil for him.
Who would be a good foil for him? Like, I mean, we have Eternals coming up. We have
I'm trying to think of like existing or ones we know that are coming.
What are you laughing about over there, Ian?
Chat's killing me right now. I don't want to throw off anybody's train of thought. I have to share this real quick.
Okay.
The Pep said the best part of the Grandmaster for him was the orgy ship.
Yeah.
It was just the orgy ship. And then Canadian Wolverine says, "No, I get it. Jeff Goldblum comes off super douchey, but that works for a bad guy character. I have a strong impression Jeff Goldblum is the kind of guy who keeps kissing your partner's hand, no matter how many times you send the signal for him to stop, for the both of you." That's just funny.
That just tells me that he needs to go and like be like face to face with Jane Foster Thor. Like what's that gonna look like in that fourth Thor movie?
Mm-hmm.
So how about Valkyrie? We know now at the end of Endgame, she is the leader of Asgard, on Earth. So where was it that you would love to see her show up again? Is she going to show up in Thor: Love and Thunder?
I hope so. I enjoy her a lot, and she is a really good counterweight to Thor. I think they had really good sort of chemistry in this and in Endgame. Just as like, but it's interesting because like what I really like about their relationship is how when they first meet, Thor was like very focused on trying to get and accomplish his goal and his task, and she's kind of in a I'm drinking myself slowly to death, fuck everything sucks, kind of in like this failures spiral because of a because of her traumatic issue, years and years and years ago
Right.
with Hela. And then in Endgame, it's flipped, right? Where she's very focused and clear-headed and trying to take care of the last surviving Asgardians. And Thor is in this like failure spiral from his own trauma and failures. I think that they play really nicely off of each other. And so I think she would be really like, because will get on his own like hero bullshit, but she has no time for that, and we'll call him out on that.
Mhm.
So I could see her in that. I think her with like whatever like the new Avengers end up looking like the young with Captain Falcon, and would be interesting.
Okay.
Because having her perspective on things on Earth, kind of that like fish out of water, where they've been living here for a little while, but she still has like would just have a very cynical approach to things that they come across.
Mm-hmm.
Like she becomes like the Thor of the new Avengers essentially, because she is an Asgardian, so she can fuck some shit up.
And obviously a very skilled fighter.
Mm-hmm.
Again, Canadian Wolverine here in chat says, I feel like Valkyrie and Captain Marvel would play really nicely off of each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be down.
Do you think, one thing I did love about the movie is that there's no love story between Thor and Valkyrie?
I was thinking, yes. Mm-hmm.
But do you think at any point in time that they were thinking of doing that?
I do think they were thinking that, because there are points there, especially early on, there's like shots where there's like these weird, like there are definitely some shots I think they were thinking. And I saw there was a quote from Taika that he says something to the effect of like 80% of the dialogue is the movie he said was like ad-libbed and kind of like improvised, and like we'll just see where we're going with this. I definitely think they thought about it and played around with it. And I feel like if you look the first half of their scenes together, I feel like there's some shots that they were the way they did it where it looks like Thor is like checking her out kind of, and is like,
right.
and then I am happy they went away from that though.
Yeah.
Pat wants to know he wants to know, Pat, are you a fan of the upcoming Secret Wars Thor story in Love and Thunder, and are you familiar with that run of Thor and excited at all?
I'm very excited about it because again, it's Taika and it sounds like it's going to be weird. I'm not intimately familiar with the comic book run of that story. So maybe I'm way off base, but I'm very just on the fact that I feel like now that they've done their big, huge tentpole saga with the Infinity Marvel, I'm very excited for what they're going to do, because I feel like they're going to let things get a little weird, because you're doing Love and Thunder and you're doing Doctor Strange, what is it?
The
Multiverse of Madness.
That's
or whatever. Yeah. So I dig that. I'm all for like just get weird with it and be fun and be earnest, and it's gonna be great. And that's what I think because like Ragnarok, probably what makes it so great is like it's just fucking weird, but it's fun weird, and it's something that it came at a really good time, because they definitely would have never let this one go through earlier in the process, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so great. It's so weird and fun. It's literally like I almost got mad I liked it so much, because I was like, well, fuck, I can never make a Marvel movie because they've already made the movie I would make.
I like it so much I was mad about it.
Yeah. Well, like, I mean, if anyone's read like my novel series, Space Tripping, it's like very, I mean, there's no like hero saving the universe, but it's very similar like humor, and it's more like kind of like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, but with like more cursing and beer drinking. So I just yeah, I'm very excited for what I know, which again, I'm not intimately familiar with the comics run. I am very excited for Love and Thunder. It's probably the one I'm most excited for in the next coming lineup. If for no other reason than it's it's still Taika Waititi again, and Chris Hemsworth has shown that he can be incredibly funny and endearing and awesome as this character. So I'm excited. I think they're going to expand more on that.
So sorry, go ahead, Ian.
I was gonna say, like, you're in a good spot with it. Secret War was a lot of fun, and Jane Foster Thor is fantastic. So
yeah,
if they
I'm
keep
all
with
for
that,
it.
it's gonna be a good time.
All for it. Yeah.
So one of the I think is the coolest Easter eggs that's in the movie itself is in the Statue of Champions. You see the face of either Beta Ray Bill or a race that is a person that's of the same race of Beta Ray Bill. Thus,
I feel like
thus mentioning that there is Beta Ray Bill in this universe, which I believe we have been told that we're going to be getting in Love and Thunder. I'm not sure.
I hope so.
But
yeah, isn't Man Thing one of the other ones in there too?
No, is it?
No.
I'm
gonna find it. I'm gonna find the trivia on it.
It really could be, but
I'm Google.
I don't remember.
Google.
It's if you type Man Thing, that's the first thing that comes up is Man Thing. Thor Ragnarok is the suggested fill. Yeah, it says Man Thing. Dr. Ted Salas was transformed into a magical empathic swamp creature, not to be confused with DC Swamp Thing.
That's right.
Beta Ray Bill. And a couple others, but yeah, they point him out on the building.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
I did not pick up on that. So that's
that, Mitch, in your face, in
Boom.
your
Roast
face,
him.
Mitch.
Chat, cool. Roast Mitch right now. Roast him.
Yeah.
Either way,
tell him shame.
Who would you like to see play Beta Ray Bill in the future Thor: Love and Thunder movie?
Oh Jesus! I feel like I'm terrible at these questions. You're putting me on the spot. Like, my brain is fried too with like promo stuff.
It's also not fair.
I've done a streamer podcast like 8 of the last 10 nights. I got another one tomorrow. It's who would be Beta Ray Bill? Who would be Beta Ray Bill? Who would be Beta Ray Bill? I don't know. I like unknowns, honestly. I like unknown actors a lot of times, unless it's.
That's cool. I can dig that. Like, I mean, he doesn't even have to fill the body. Like, I imagine that's going to be core CGI. So if you just have a voice that you want to hear, like, I would love to see David Keith. Like, I think that would be cool.
Mm-hmm.
Or is it Keith David? Whichever one.
Oh no, Keith David. Yeah, Keith David. Yeah.
Of Goliath from Gargoyles. I think that'd be pretty awesome.
That would be great.
For some reason, the first thing I thought was Sam Elliott.
Oh, I love that.
That'd be interesting.
Where he's just the Sam Elliott as Beta Ray Bill, just out there being Sam Elliott. You don't have to do much to change it.
I think, what about like because he's already been in the MCU. But what about like an older but a very distinguished British accent?
Ooh, okay.
Sir Patrick
like an
Stewart.
Ian. I was gonna say Patrick Stewart. I mean, he was. I know it wasn't the MCU when he was X. You could do Ian McKellen.
You could do Ian McKellen. You could do Patrick Stewart. I like both of those. Harvey Fierstein, not English, but I'm gonna go with that one.
Oh my God!
Yep.
Thor.
Gilbert Gottfried, send it. Put it on paper. Gilbert Gottfried, send it.
Wallace Shawn.
Wow.
Wolvie in chat just shared an image. I pulled it up, defining who the people on the
statue.
Yeah, did you look at that at all? Because it's Man Thing at the top, Ares, Beta Ray Bill, and Bybeast.
Bybeast, really?
Yeah, it's the two heads on top of each other.
Yeah. Okay, I'm glad Taika went deep for that.
And I'm just thinking, Ares?
Ares, yeah, from the new Avengers. Like, it's the Greek god of Ares. I enjoyed him, the character. When they brought him into the team, they were like, we need a Thor and we need a Wolverine. And they're like, hey, I got the guy that's both. Like, I'm gonna do that. So.
Just say less, fam. I got this guy.
So one of Ian's favorite parts of the show is and we do this for Andy, who's usually listening. Who would Tom Cruise play in this movie, Thor Ragnarok? If you had to recast,
I mean, Grandmaster.
Yep, right. It has to be the Grandmaster.
I was gonna say Scourge.
Oh yeah.
Haven't been
No, but
Surtur?
honestly, I feel like as much as I was defending Jeff Goldblum. Sorry, by the way, during that time, just peek behind the curtain. When my Discord freaked out, my volume was all jacked up for like 10 minutes after that for some reason. It's fixed now. Everything's loud and clear. So if I was like spacey and out of it for like 10 minutes after, it's like because I was trying to get my fucking volume. So it didn't sound like you both were talking on the other side of pillows.
Oh no.
But I like the Jeff Goldblum Grandmaster. That being said, I think Tom Cruise, when he is like manic energy Tom Cruise, which could do really well with that. Like the jumping on the couch eccentric man, like crazy Tom Cruise. Like he could definitely, and he's shown he can do it because of like Tropic Thunder. He's shown he can be very like out there and weird. So yeah, I think he would have done okay with that.
I think you would have done a great job there too. But yes, as the executioner, as you take Carl Urban out, which I was so disappointed. Like Carl Urban's one of my favorite actors, and he was going to be in this movie. I honestly wanted to be Boulder when they announced that he was going to be in the movie, but he ends up being the executioner. Like they use him, and you definitely see like you see parts of Billy Butcher, like what he's going to end up using as Billy Butcher for the boys in this as Scourge. So I thought that's pretty awesome watching that now.
Either that or I just want Tom Cruise to be meek.
Doesn't even have any lines.
No, he's credited in it for the mocap.
Okay. He did all
so he's just like, he's tiny enough. You don't have to move. You don't have to do much to move it around.
He's Fenrir.
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about that, but Zachary is Andrel again, and he's only in it to say and then die.
Broke my heart. My heart.
What's the name of the guy who plays Volstagg? Ray Stevens. He's in it again just to die.
Yeah.
Both of them go up. Idris Elba ends up having a much larger role than he has in the
finally.
They so under. One of the biggest crimes of the MCU is how underutilized Idris Elba was over the course of like.
Yep, just for him to die like almost off in the next movie.
You cast him as a character who just stands in a room and like doesn't do. It's like no, like get him out doing shit.
when you've got budget, you can do it.
Yeah, so it's a lot of the side characters that we liked. I mean, Jamie, it's not Jamie Alexander. What's her name?
Yeah, it is. Sif, who plays Sif.
Yeah, Jamie Alexander.
Listen, she was busy on a mission posing as an Earth human who had tattoos all over her body. That's that's the in-world
this movie, which is unfortunate too. So I hope Sif shows up again later. Who that's not in the MCU yet, but we know we're going to be getting, like X-Men wise, Fantastic Four wise. Would you love to see interact with Thor or Jane Foster Thor?
Ooh. Ian, do you have anyone?
Jubilee.
Like with Thor or with
Jane Foster?
Jane Foster Thor. Okay.
I think Beast and Thor would have riveting conversations.
That would be pretty good.
Beast like asking him about like the 9 realms and the nature and just being fascinated by it all. And I think, yeah,
I would love to see him be like, how exactly do you channel the lightning? He wants to get behind this.
Oh, yeah. He would be like, the Bifrost. Fascinating.
How
upside down. He's hanging from the ceiling with a notebook. And he's like, so Rainbow Bridge. Okay, but you are like, I feel like he would just be peppering with questions to the point where Thor, who likes to talk about himself, would actually be over it.
I want that conversation of how do you channel lightning? I just do.
Yeah, and then Thor would just start making stuff up because he doesn't want to look like
yes.
Starts making stuff up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Or like I would see Beast being like, so you don't actually fly, you throw the hammer so hard and hold on to it that it pulls you? I don't
know. I fly.
Understand how that works.
For people in the MCU that we want to see in the MCU, Wolvie said Luke Cage if that ever happens again.
Okay.
And Pep said Space Hercules.
Space Hercules? Is there a
Hercules?
Okay. I call him Spercules.
And if we're staying there, Cosmic Ghost Rider.
Cosmic Ghost Rider again. Here he is. Yeah, I don't know who I'd want to see. The Gladiator from X-Men, like the Shi'ar family, like just he comes in and Thor and
Thor's
his
like,
fight.
I was a gladiator once.
Yeah.
With that eyebrow cock and everything.
Yeah.
Okay. It sounds like both of you are at least looking forward to Thor: Love and Thunder. Is there anything you'd love to say about this particular movie?
This one gave me hope for the future of Thor. Like if we had gotten another Thor movie like Dark World, then I kind of would have just been over Thor standalones.
Mm-hmm.
But this one was a breath of fresh air. Pep and I had the conversation. I don't hate this movie by any means. Is it at the top of my list? Not really. It's in a respectable place, but it saved Thor for me.
That's fair. Pat,
this movie is, for me at least, just pure, raw, uncut fun. I think it's just so much fun and enjoyable, and still has like something to say about like how like Asgard's the people, it's not its place, about with Thor kind of coming to terms with what kind of leader he's going to be, with Loki having to kind of figure out what kind of person he wants to be, because he's someone who is like constantly changing and doesn't do good with permanency, because he's always changing and shifting for the moment. But it's kind of like he's kind of forced to be like, it's like, nah, man, you can't do that anymore. Like, make a decision. Like, who are you gonna be?
Yeah.
And I just think it's so enjoyable, and it like, I love stuff that is beneath the surface actually really, really smart, but wraps it in a package where someone just passing by it might be like very surface level. Oh, it's like goofy and slapstick and stuff like that, where it's got this the colors are beautiful and bright. It's gorgeous to look at. And there's lots of like very surface level stuff. It's kind of like lowbrow or slapsticky, but there's so much nuance too throughout the movie, like little looks that are perfectly timed and hilarious. Loki's reaction when Hulk comes out in the arena is so great.
I kind of got this
yeah. Just these little things, little lines here and there. Like I would watch a Mark Ruffalo, Chris Hemsworth buddy movie series like all day, every day, when he's as Bruce Banner, and when he's first back as Bruce Banner, and they're on the ship, and just I find it so very enjoyable. It is my personal favorite. It's one I've probably seen the most, and I don't when we rank MCUs, honestly, I have this thing where I feel like you have to put Infinity War and Endgame just kind of in their own thing.
Yeah,
because they're this own, like, people that always want. I'm like, they're both fucking practically perfect. They're phenomenal, but they're their own like thing. I don't know, but I almost when I want to play that game, I was like, put those two over there, and then give me your top three that aren't those two. Like so. But I enjoy it, and the fact that it is Taika again, I'm super excited for Love and Thunder.
So I put this note when, and this was one of my greatest conversations with Pat on Twitter, was I put Thor Ragnarok at 15 on my list of
I forgot we had that. Yeah, I blocked it from my memory because I was like, I don't need that. Yeah.
You don't need that kind of negativity in his life. However, I don't want to say that it's because I didn't like the movie. I love this movie. I would say it is probably one of the most rewatchable of the MCU. Like, you can
for sure
rewatch this and just have a good time every time you watch it. I just don't have it at near the top, and it's not because it's a bad movie. It's just I like all the other movies more, like, kind of thing, I guess. I don't know. But yes, it is at my 50. You take out the Avenger movies, then sure, it moves up, and that makes.
So you like Age of Ultron better than this?
No, I don't think I have Age of Ultron before this. Let me check again, but
say we can get the receipts.
Age of Ultron's at 18, so
okay. But you have it like 15, really? 15?
I have it.
There are 14 better movies than this.
In the MCU, yes, I have 14 movies better.
If it makes you feel any better, Pat, once we get done with Endgame, the next couple episodes after that, to wrap everything up, we're gonna sit here and we're gonna debate about what the actual order should be. And, and I'm gonna get a little butthurt. He's gonna get a little butthurt because the movie that we think should be way higher is just gonna be number 15.
But yeah, like I said, I think it's such a good movie, and all the Kirbiness of it, the Jack Kirby like looks in art and stuff like that is phenomenal. So it's such a rewatchable movie, and I enjoy it. Pat, tell people once again how they can find the Red Opera and yourself online.
Yeah. So I'm on Twitter at the Pat Edwards, and my pinned tweet has a link to the Red Opera. If you're listening to this, you're a fan of the Geek Elite media community, and there's a special Geek Elite link that maybe, I don't know, you're gonna put in the show notes, Mitch.
I'll put it in the show notes. Also,
and Mitch will tweet out. I like to keep track of that stuff because like we hit certain points and we have different like affiliates that we give like thank yous to, where we send a little money back to them as like a thank you, that have been great communities for us and helpful. So please check out the Red Opera. We dropping $1,000 in the bucket since we've been recording. So that's awesome. We're $85 away from six. Oh nope, there it goes.
Yeah,
we're at six. Yeah, we went over $67,000. That's awesome. We're trying now to get to 75 to unlock the pilot, the show pilot. We've already unlocked like I said, 3 new mini adventures to include 3 new warlock subclasses, and the first one we unlocked was this suite of, they're called deadly encounters, that I wrote, where all these very dynamic the setting where the Red Opera takes place is a city called Yonkath with lots of factions, and you're going to encounter a lot of them, and some of them you're going to be friends with, and some of them you're going to tick off, because it wouldn't be D&D if you weren't ticking off NPCs or murdering them. And one of the ones you ticked off is going to come back looking to get some, to even things up for you at a climactic point. And then we created these like different index cards with art, and it has like this really interesting encounter. Again, it's not just going to be a fight. It's going to be a very unique. I've told the story. One of my personal favorite ones I wrote is there's like this guild of like muscle for hire thugs that they're like neutral. They're like whatever. But if they're the one that you have to get through, their leader has this like magic talisman. Essentially it creates like a radius, and it's raining in this radius, and it dispels all weapons and all spells are useless in this radius. So you basically have to have like fisticuffs brawl in the rain in the city streets while the city's like falling apart around you.
That's so
and
cool.
Even your casters are like gonna have to like put their dukes up and have your
wizard dies to 1d4 rain damage.
But yeah, it's one of those things where I took each faction, and we've got all these crazy ones where it's like, and it tailored these specific encounters very much to, it's not just, again, you're fighting this faction, it's like something fucking wild or off base is happening that's very akin to the vibe of that faction that you're gonna have to contend with. And just, again, I guarantee you, check it out. If you play, it's gonna be, you're gonna encounter stuff you've never seen before. You're gonna encounter like types of encounters, puzzles, situations, set pieces, interesting combat mechanic, twists on combat that you've not seen before.
I'm really excited to check this out. Like holy crap, I'm excited to check this out. just the warlock subclasses alone had me all the way interested.
Oh, we've got 2 new player species too.
Oh,
they can do. Yeah, I totally forgot about that. Yeah. So the setting this all takes place is called the Shadelands. It's like a northern tundra type deal, and one of them are called Caldenkind, and there's a little more tweaks to their appearance, but essentially, for make it simple, they're essentially bipedal humanoid polar bears.
You have Mitch's attention.
Yeah. And we have this whole lore with them, and they're like native to the Shadelands, and then we created this like variant race of elves called the Glaubjorn, who are all very like attuned with the seasons, and the season you're born in has an effect on your appearance and what you can do. And it's things like basically you choose this race, and the big like differentiator is you're going to get to choose one of the 13 damage types, and there's like specific ones like choices for each season that you're born in, like if you're spring or winter or something. And so let's say you're a winter Glau, you can choose cold as your elemental affinity, and what that means is you're resistant to cold damage. But what it also means is you can, no matter what you're doing, no matter what spell or attack, if it deals damage, you can, as a free action, turn it so it doesn't increase how much damage you're doing, but you can change the nature of it to your affinity. So you could be a winter Glau, hit someone with a sword, and it won't deal slashing damage, it'll deal cold damage.
Nice.
Okay. All right. So you could be like a winter Glau like that, and be a sorcerer and be like, haha, fireball, but psych, it's actually an ice ball.
Yeah, you literally cast fireball. The mechanics are all the same, but your one little perk, it does cold damage, not fire damage.
That's fantastic. Chat, please. I posted the link just a couple messages up. Go check it out. Again, if you're in a spot to donate, just donate. Do it. Fund this. It sounds awesome. I want to check it out. Maybe I can talk Jay Bruce into checking it out once we can, like once we're to a spot. And that'd be so freaking choice, gang. Help them out. Do the thing.
Hey, Geek Elite, come represent. Maybe I'll come back and we'll do like a little one-shot session or something sitting there with some.
Hi, I'm here. My name's Ian.
Yeah.
I would love to be a part of it. Just tell me when.
Thank you, Pat, for coming on and sharing with us about the Red Opera, and it was a pleasure to talk to you about.
Thank you guys for having me. Thank you very much.
Anytime. So,
Ian,
hey, Mitch, where can they find you?
No, you're first. Where do people find you online?
Just trying to switch it up. Hey,
Don't
gang. Hey, gang. My name's Ian Flux. If you're listening to this, you can find us while we record this on Wednesdays at twitch.tv/IanFlux. That's IANFLUX. And you can find me on Twitter. Come say hey. I love to chat. Come talk to me on Twitter at IanFlux12. IANFLUX. The numbers 1, 2.
And then you can find me on Twitter. I'm at Mitchipedia, GEM. GEM stands for Geek Elite Media. The rest of Geek Elite Media can be found on Twitter at Geek Elite Media, at Geek Elite Media on Instagram, and Facebook.com/Geek Elite Media is our Facebook page. Check out our website, geekelitemedia.com, for archived episodes of this podcast and other podcasts on our network. We already said, if you're going to donate any money, donate it to the Red Opera Kickstarter this week. But next month, go over to our Patreon and check out all the cool exclusive material you can be getting from our network on there, Geek Elite Media. And whatever podcatcher you use to listen to us, if you're listening to this on a podcast, please rate and review us so that it helps spread the word of our network. Pat, do you remember how to sign out? How we sign out here?
Yeah, chat, you better do this too.
All you have to do is say "geek out" after I say "always remember to."
There's a little bit of a gap, so you'll find it. You'll be there. Chat, if you don't, I will start fighting people in chat.
Oh, this was the time. He didn't say it all episode, folks. He didn't say anything about fighting anybody till now. It took all the whole episode.
I tried real hard.
But until next time, this is Journey into Mystery on the Geek Elite Media Network, saying always remember to geek
out. Nobody said it in chat. I'm upset.
You got to
find him. Wolvie's there. And JJ's there. Okay. I'll forgive you for the slight delay this time.
Thank you once again, Pat, for coming on. That was awesome.
Thank you guys so much for having me.
Yeah.
Sorry about the tech issues there in the middle. Discord sometimes,
That's what happens when you do it live.
Yep.
Doing it live. Yeah.
All right, chat. I'm going to leave you guys here also. So you have a great night. Be safe. And may all your hits be crits, gang.